Hi everyone, it's Dan Kelly, President of the Canadian Federation of Independent Business. The past month has been an incredible challenge for small business owners, also a challenging one for us at the Canadian Federation of Independent Business in serving you and going to bat for you with governments. I have to say a lot of progress has been made, but progress really as a result of some of the fantastic surveys that we've been collecting over the past several weeks. We've now done 4 special COVID-19 surveys where we've gathered data from small business owners about the impact that this is having on your firm and your recommendations of what governments can do to help. That has really resulted in some powerful changes, both in Ottawa and in provincial capitals across the country. Most notably, we've used that to lobby for support for wages, the single largest expense for most small business owners. The original 10% wage subsidy that government offered has now been expanded to 75%. So if your firm can demonstrate either a 15% reduction in March or 30% reduction in April and May, you can qualify for a wage subsidy of up to 75% of the wages that you pay to your employees. Even after that was announced, we lobbied for additional changes to make sure that newer firms could compare against January and February of 2020 rather than against the same month in 2019. Also changes to allow you the choice of either accrual accounting or cash accounting in order to prove the revenue loss that you may have felt. And on top of that, the government has announced now that there will be an allowance that if you qualify in 1 month, you're actually going to qualify for up to 8 weeks of benefits as a result, reducing the administrative time that you would otherwise have to spend on this. There's also a payroll tax rebate involved. So if you continue to pay your employees, yet they're not working, they're at home, you're now going to be able to apply to get a refund of your EI and CPP premiums that you as the employer pay. Those changes would not have been possible had we not been listening closely to our members and suggesting to government ways to make those programs better. It is by no means perfect, but an awful lot better than it would have been, again, had we not heard from our members loud and clear. The Canada Emergency Business Account is another very good program for some businesses, those with a payroll of between $50,000 and $1 million. We are pushing to expand the scope of it because we've been hearing from many very small businesses or business owners that pay themselves with dividends and may only have 1 or 2 part-time workers that they're excluded from the program. And at the time of recording this video, that lobbying effort is going on right now. We're hoping to see changes in the days ahead. The thing that is really powerful about this new Canada Emergency Business Account is that you get a $40,000 loan and only have to repay $30,000. Essentially, the $10,000 can be a grant to your business to help you pay some of those fixed costs like rent that continues to accrue. We're urging you, if you do qualify, consider taking out that loan. And even if you don't want to take on additional debt, you can bank the $30,000 for the time being and repay the loan in full, and then that will allow you to take advantage of that $10,000 grant, one-time grant from the federal government. But that's not going to be enough support for rent. We're really actively pushing right now the provincial governments to announce more programs to support the rent and real estate costs of businesses, especially businesses that were ordered to shut down as a result of emergency services legislation. CFIB is also working closely to try to push governments to build the plan now to allow businesses to reopen as quickly as medical offices of health allow us to. But that needs to happen. It's deeply unfair that some of the largest multinationals can continue to sell products while small independent firms have been forced to close. So we're working right now to build those plans and lobby governments to allow businesses to reopen at the earliest possibility and do that in as safe a way as is possible. Our work at CFIB has not stopped, though. All of the programs that I've mentioned and the need for new programs from provincial governments, we continue to lobby to make sure that more small businesses, medium-sized businesses, can access those programs to ensure that we can do it all we can to prepare Canada for recovery, a fast recovery that we all urgently need. You know, governments were slow to respond. COVID-19, of course, was creating a giant healthcare emergency, but we've been pointing out that the economic emergency that came along with COVID-19 has moved even more quickly than the healthcare challenges that we are all worried about. But we've been there in your corner right from the very start, and will continue to be there to ensure that as many businesses as possible make it through this most difficult time. I can tell you that I've been reading closely all the emails, comments to our business counselors, and the direct social media feeds that I have on Facebook or on Twitter. And it is heartbreaking to hear so many stories from business owners of the struggles that many of you have had in balancing the needs to keep your employees safe with the needs to continue to serve your customers, and of course, the agonizing decisions that many of you had to make to try to reduce your workforce at this difficult time. I don't think a lot of people fully appreciate how challenging this has been on small business owners, and our job at CFIB is to ensure that the public, politicians, and policymakers know about the struggles that you have been facing, the work that you've been doing to try to keep the economy going. And if nobody else is going to say it, I want to say it. Thank you so much for the work that you are doing to try to keep the economic heartbeat of the country going. The work that you're doing to try to muddle through at this very difficult time so that your business can survive this challenging time. There are so many of you that are worried about what's going to happen to your business at the end of this emergency phase. And even more so, we're worried about what's going to happen in the summer when businesses are allowed to reopen. Are we still going to have the economic stability that we need to make sure that businesses can bounce back? There's a lot of unanswered questions. We at CFIB are working really hard to answer them as best we can. Our business counselors have been working night and day to try to return your calls, and I thank you for your patience if we haven't gotten to you immediately. We are now receiving, from our normal 50 calls a day, that has now grown to 800 calls per day to our business helplines. Please do call us. We've added capacity as best we can across the country to ensure that all of our CFIB staff are taking calls from members directly and trying to answer or retrieve answers from government where there are loose ends. Governments, of course, themselves have been struggling to put these programs in place quickly enough, and I know the rules are changing by the hour. We're doing our best, and we've been trying to populate as quickly as we can as much information on CFIB's special COVID website. That's CFIB.ca/COVID-19. Please check back with it regularly. We're going to keep it up to date with the best information possible and some advice as to how you can maximize the benefits that business owners have. These are unusual days. CFIB doesn't typically call for government support. In fact, we typically call for government to step back a bit and leave businesses with more of their own income and lowering taxes and ensuring that the regulatory burden on Canadian business is light. These times are very different, though. Businesses have been ordered to close by the state to protect society. And as a result, it would be deeply unfair to ask business owners to pick up all of the costs of that themselves, the cost of maintaining their operations and paying their bills like rent on businesses that are essentially shuttered at the moment. We at CFIB get that, and we're going to be with you right till the very end of this crisis and ensure that we do everything we can to support small business owners as they rebuild for the future. Thanks so much for everything that you're doing. Please lean on my team as much as you possibly need to in the days ahead, and you have my support throughout this whole problem. Thanks again.